Hi, this is Rich Dodson from the Stampeders celebrating 20 years of Retrospectives on 3SER KC Radio.
Just to begin with, were you always headed for a career in music when you were growing up?
Oh, I sort of knew when I was 8 or 9 years of age that I just loved music and, of course, guitar. And being brought up in Calgary, Alberta, we had lots of music, especially country music. So, but I think I heard a guitar player at my Catholic youth organization, whatever, Sunday party. A guy with a big fat Gretsch guitar playing Walk Don't Run and a whole bunch of instrumentals with a drummer and a bass player, and I just thought it was the most fantastic thing. And I knew from that moment on I wanted to at least play guitar.
Tell us about the band prior to the Stampeders, the Rebounds. How much did that band resemble the Stampeders as they became?
It's pretty much almost still the nucleus. Kim Burley, our drummer, had put an ad in that kind of thing. And I introduced myself to him and told him my mother had just bought me a guitar, and I was into all that whole thing. And he told me he was a major record collector and had all kinds of instrumental tunes and stuff that I should hear. And then, of course, he said every Sunday night his mother baked cinnamon buns. Aha. And I knew right away, I got to check this out. So I went over to his house. This is all in Calgary, Alberta, up about 7 or 8 blocks from where I lived. And lo and behold, the smell of those cinnamon buns was just churned through the whole house. I met his nice, sweet, slightly chubby Irish mother as I came in the door. I saw all those cinnamon buns, and he said, "Oh, Rich, first. Downstairs, you got to see my record collection." So I went down, and he had tons and tons of Apple boxes full of 45s. And eventually we started spinning records and exchanging music thoughts, and it was the Shadows and on, all those instrumental bands. I thought, oh, this is great. I love this guy. And so that was the beginning of my relationship with my first bass player, Brendan Little, which I guess was probably the very beginning of the Rebounds. And then we met another dude named Len Romer from British Columbia, who we invited him to join us with some jamming. And I said I knew a drummer from where I previously lived on the other side of Calgary, a little Italian guy named Alfonso. And I said, he plays drums. Let's get him up for a little jam one night. So we set up a jam at Brendan's place. And that was sort of the beginning of the Rebounds. And but our drummer had difficulty, never showed up all the time. And we thought, And Brendan had saw an ad in the paper which Kim Burley had placed. And we answered his ad, and he came up and for a little get-together, and he sat on my little Italian guy Alfonso's drum set, and he ripped off a killer version of Wipeout. And we thought, okay, this guy's for us. So, but our little buddy Alfonso wanted to quit anyway, so Kim became the drummer of the Rebounds. And again, at Brendan's place, the cinnamon buns, all around the cinnamon buns. And that's sort of like how the Rebounds started.
Yeah.
And then we basically, Kim brought his brother in to sing because he was sort of like Elvis, did that kind of thing. And his brother said, hey, we need a manager, and sought out Mr. Mel Shaw, who was sort of had put together the TV show in Calgary at the time, sort of a hip spot to play if you were a band. And Mel said, sure, I'd love to get involved in something because I just lost my favorite band, the Paintbrushes. But I don't think there'd be any involvement with you guys unless I could bring somebody into the band. And that was Ronnie King.
Uh-huh.
Because he's a great showman from the Paintbrushes. And Ronnie said, well, I'll come in the band if my brother Van could be in the band. So then we ended up with 6 people. And we had a manager. And that was the beginning of the Stampeders. And that all happened between, I would say, 63, 64 in Calgary.
Wow. Was it a help?
Long story short.
Yeah.
So don't ask me those questions. You're good.
Was it a healthy music scene in Calgary at the time? Was there a lot of competition?
What kind of music?
Was it a healthy?
Calgary is like the famous Calgary Stampede. It's cowboy hats, Dallas of the North, chuck wagon races, country. It's cattle country, that kind of thing. So I was right into that, and of course, got my little first. That was the first beginnings of us sort of touching on that, getting a feel for that. Anyway, for me, for sort of, so to speak, country rock. Love and Spoonful, that kind of thing was hearing on the radio, and it all just worked out for me. I mean, I love the whole thing of living in Calgary and the cowboy hats and the whole trip.
Yeah.
And it just came together. So we started off as sort of a country rock type thing, entity. And that was the beginning of us in that the cowboy hat thing.
When you moved the band on to Toronto, was that a case of basically you've achieved all you could achieve in Calgary and you had to make that move?
Well, we had our manager, Mel Shaw, and I give him credit for... he pretty much saw a bit of a dead end in Calgary because there just wasn't anything happening, and he got some guy to invest in our project. He said he would put in $10,000 if we took the name Stampeders. And of course, you have to realize, living in Calgary, everything is Stampeder football team, Stampeder car wash, Stampeder this, Stampeder that, Stampede Motors, like nuts. So it was like. Oh, we thought, oh my God, the worst name on the planet. Why do we have to do that? Well, he'll put up $10,000. That was the thing. So we took the name, we paraded around the Stampeders for a few months, 4 months. We put some promo together, and the guy never came up with the cash.
Oh no!
but it looked like, hey, but our manager was fairly, he had a fairly large way of looking at things. I mean, he said, from the standpoint of the planet, South America, Australia, Europe, all over the U.S. It's probably a pretty cool name for a band.
Yeah,
it's a rockin' kind of thing, And we said, yeah, let's think outside the box here a bit more. And we thought, hey, that's great. Let's hang with it. I sort of liked it at the time. It was so bad, it was great. And then it became actually very valuable. It really got us a lot of attention. And but we sort of knew Calgary was just nowhere, and Toronto was pretty much the happening scene. It had Yorkville, it had the British invasion happening in Toronto. I mean, like everything, it was just booming here. Toronto was just like the place to be. It's our biggest Canadian city. It's sort of the center of the universe especially for music. And it was quite so at that time. So we knew in '64 that it had to be a point of we had to head out east to really, if we really wanted to try and do something. And our manager Mel was quite good at getting agents to come down from down east out to Calgary to see the band, and good at creating a buzz and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
So that was, so we ended up buying an old Cadillac limousine for around $800, and we rented a U-Haul trailer. And of course, it worked out pretty good for our old manager, Mel, because he owed money to Household Finance, so he was happy to get out of town. And we were all finished high school, and we were just happy to get away from Mom. So we just sort of all jumped in like the Partridge Family and just played our way across the country. $80 here, $100 there, stay here, sleep there, sleep in the car. It was one of those things. So it was Mel Shaw, his wife and 2 kids, and the 6 of us in this big stretch Cadillac limousine that leaked exhaust.
Oh no!
Like a gas chamber. But that's sort of how we headed out down east.
Now, as you said, the band was a 6-piece, but eventually became a 3-piece. Was it a conscious decision not to replace people as they left and to strip that sound down?
Well, the brothers, so to speak, Kim's brother, Race, and Ronnie's brother, Van, and of course my friend Brendan, the bass player, were all quite much older than us. They were 3 or 4 years, 5 years older than us. So they aged a lot quicker, and of course we did clubs for 4 or 5 years solid, and they were just burned out. They just felt it wasn't for them. And literally all three of them quit within 3 months. They all just said, we're out of here. So it left the three of us. And so we had to sort of boogie. We were either going to try and make it go, make it happen, or we were going to pack it in. And that's how the trio started, the three Stampeders. We were up against the wall, and we thought, well, time to really get serious about this songwriting thing and recording and all that. And, of course, it was great. It worked out fabulous.
What would you say was the first...
I never thought of... The first
major break that you got. No,
like
the first major break the band got. What would you consider that to be?
Well, I would say our distribution deal with Quality Records in Toronto, and of course Carry Me took off for us. That became a fairly big hit in Canada. And of course, as our tune was getting played, these content regulations were starting to come in, and then bang, they did come in, and then out came Sweet City Woman, and of course it got just played to death. That thing, it just took off like a rocket.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of us having some serious future in Canada. And because it was next to impossible to get stuff played on Canadian radio. No, they didn't care about it. They're just checking the Billboard charts, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, it's wonderful now because half or over half of all the biggest artists in the world are Canadian right now, so it's great for us. And of course, the other half are Australian.
What do you recall of the recording of Sweet City Woman, the sessions itself?
It was just an excellent, really happy session. I mean, there's some video actually on YouTube. There's one of the tunes, "Stick by You," which is actually was shot during that recording session. But it was, we were well rehearsed. An interesting thing about Sweet City Woman is, well, of course, the tune, it was us coming down from Calgary, the country guys going to the city. So, I mean, that's pretty much what it was about. And, of course, we had had a very successful run at Expo in Montreal, so I loved Montreal. I loved the whole French thing. And that's sort of some of the major elements lyrically of that particular tune. But with the riff, on the way to the recording studio, I thought, this riff could be really neat on banjo. So I stopped in at my local music store, and I knew the dude who worked there, and I said, I need a banjo. I need a 5-string banjo for an afternoon. Okay, pick one off the wall. So I just took one, signed it up, walked out the door and off to the session, tuned it up at the session, and along came Sweet City Woman, da-da-da, and ripped off the track. I thought, this is really cool. I love this. Of course, everybody in the studio loved the whole track. It all just came together, all the parts and everything. It was just a fabulous, buzzy session. We did almost the whole album in 2 days. And but I took the banjo back the same day. and of course, the salesman, his name is Bob Abbott. He used to work at Law McQuaid. He said, "Rich, yeah, I know. You made that banjo famous." He said, "I sold it. I must have sold it 100 times over and over." No, this is the one. So somebody out there has got that banjo.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's his big story. Yeah. So I mean, I now own banjos, but the Sweet City Woman banjo is floating around out there, and I know it's a Gibson, and it's a 5-string. It's right there somewhere. It's a beauty. Yeah.
Did it sound instantly like a hit for you? Were you confident that this was going to be a major hit?
Well, I really liked it. It was one of my favorite tracks that we had done at the time. But of course, Carry Me took off, and the record label wanted a follow-up to Carry Me. Actually, they wanted Only a Friend.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't care that much. They thought Sweet City Woman, nuts, banjo. Oh, who's going to play that? Come on, banjo one. Forget it. Kiss of Death. I mean, I don't mind the tune, but But I put up a big fight because Carry Me had taken off and done really well. We got a little deal with Polydor in the States, and so they went with it. And of course, it just took off like a rocket. I mean, our biggest station, Chum AM here in the city, added it. After a little bit of nudge, all that kind of thing, and of course it it started selling like wildfire here in Toronto, and of course the radio station, who normally never ever plays Canadian records, started hearing about all these sales downtown and what's going on. So apparently they even sent their own people down from the radio station to count the bins to make sure that the kids at the stores downtown weren't giving them a fib about the sales. And it took off, and of course it went number one here in the city for a few weeks in Toronto, and became number one in Canada. And a friend at our distributor at Quality Records got himself a nice big color TV, because he was told by a few American labels, if something ever comes by that you really like and shoot it our way, I'll give you a TV. So we ended up on Bell Records for a TV. Cinnamon buns and a TV.
That's a deal.
Yeah. Mark Robbins. Yeah, he was a nice dude. Worked at Quality. So he said, "Rich, this is an incredible song, Rich. I mean, this is going to change your life." Mark, come on, I got 1 million of them. Forget it. I got 1 million of them. Oh, really? Yeah, I got a never another one, eh? Just one. Yeah, one like that one, yeah.
Of course, that song broke you into the American market. Was America a tough market to break into in those days for a Canadian band?
Oh yeah, it was very tough. Yeah, extremely tough. Yeah, I mean, it was next to impossible, especially for Canadian bands. But I mean, the Guess Who had done some serious damage there with These Eyes. They had a few tracks that were doing really well down there, so that opened doors. But there was just no. It was very tough to get anybody interested about anything. So, and that it just took off in the States. So it was a no-brainer.
I believe you got to England to find that the song had already been successfully covered by one of their major groups. That's
right, by the Dave Clark Five.
Yeah.
Mike Smith singing "Sweet Woman." That was what a buzz. I have copies of that. In fact, I'm updating our website right now. I'm going to put all that stuff on.
Oh, great!
It's great stuff. Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, Mike Smith too. Yeah. We got to Britain. We had to deal with Philips and EMI, and we're meeting people at the label, the reps, all that kind of stuff. And of course, somebody said, "I think I just heard that song on the radio," and it was covered. It became a big hit for the Dave Clark Five. Somebody beat us to it, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
Everybody was covering everybody, jumping on everything. As I think will probably start happening now with iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
4,000 covers of every song ever released. So, it's quite the scene right now.
Something interesting I read on your website. It mentioned that you got to play at one of Keith Moon's birthday parties.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah. Our bass player Ronnie met him at I don't know if it was a Troubadour or one of those clubs. And they hit it off, and Keith said, "What are the boys doing on Friday?" And I think it was Tuesday afternoon or something. And we said, "Oh, not too much. How would they like to play at my birthday party?" Woo, yeah, sure. Keith Moon at the Beverly Wilshire. In fact, I was just in LA this summer and pranced into the Beverly Wilshire. That's where he had his party, and wow, what a great evening. You knew everybody, yet you knew nobody, kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's Brian Wilson. Yeah, I mean, like one after another, all this kind of thing. And we had a little jam session after. I don't know if you ever... my drummer, Tim Burley, had a double set of Fives drums that you could see right through.
Mm-hmm.
Clear, they had Fives drums.
Yep.
And, of course, we brought our own drums to that particular thing. We had our own backline gear. Did you ever see Keith Moon's special that he had by himself?
No.
It's on YouTube.
No, I haven't. No.
Where Keith Moon, well, we jammed after, and Keith really loved Kim's Fives drums, so he got himself a set for his own little TV special, and you'll see it on YouTube. Keith Moon, he put fish in the clear drums. You see fish floating around in all the drums as he's doing his drum solo. It's Keith Moon,
yeah,
wild man. But Keith, contrary to popular opinion at the party, he was just like a maitre d'. He just kept walking around, making sure everybody had a place to sit, had lots of food to eat, getting along with everybody, introducing people one to the other. I mean, there was no Keith El Destructo. I mean, he was like the maitre d' at the party. He was really great. Yeah, he was just a fabulous host. It was a great evening. Yeah, that was quite memorable. Yeah.
Where were your biggest markets outside of Canada?
Well, the U.S. We played the U.S. like just nonstop. We were signed to Premier Talent, and Premier's deal was you can sign with us, but we pick your opening acts because that's how they break new acts. So they put us on with Beach Boys, with Santana, with Black Oak, Arkansas, with a whole bunch of acts. So we just ended up going round and round for 3, 4, 5 years in the States, opening for everybody and building a little market. And it was a fantastic experience. I'd say the States, Canada. We spent a lot of time in Canada. We probably did 8 or 9 cross-Canada tours over the 70s, and that's why we're so solid here right now, because we literally played everybody's high school. I mean, everybody's got their Stampeder high school story, or say Bryan Adams, you're the first band I ever saw. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. You're the first concert I ever went to. Yeah, we would go out and play in condemned arenas. You know, take the condemned sign down, set our gear up. The roadies would wire up to the telephone pole. We'd do our gig, tear everything down, put the condemned sign back on, and head out. I think that was in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. Guys, I don't know about the gig. I mean, it just got condemned yesterday, the arena. Well, let's do it anyway. We'll just take the sign off. And so that kind of stuff. So we were out there doing it way before anybody was doing it.
Yeah. So,
and
when you chose to leave the band in 1977, was that a difficult decision for you at the time, or were you certain that the time was right for you to move on?
Well, the band had expanded. We had 3 horn players. We had keyboard players. It was just not the same buzz as the trio, and I always enjoyed the trio. I didn't like the expansion time. It was getting clicky, and I just couldn't relate to it. It was turning into an R&B band.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sort of burned out because we had been doing it for 13 years. And I just thought I need some time doing something else, because I always loved the recording, the background thing, the engineering. I mean, I still have a studio. My daughter's a killer songwriter. 20, you'll probably be hearing from her.
Oh, good.
We're recording now. Yeah, she's fantastic. Kate Bush, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Right off. Tickle. Yes. And but no, I'm still doing that all the time. But I really wanted to get into that, so I bought myself a 16-track tape machine and the mixer and the whole thing, and had my stuff all set up in the basement. And I just announced to the guys, I'm out. I want to try something else. So, and they weren't too tickled, but they thought they could take it on and and move on and see what they could come up with. And I think it went till 81 or 82.
Yeah.
Without me, so. But no, it was really great getting back together in '92. We got back together. Of course, we tour all the time, and we still have lots of fun. Kim, Ronnie, and myself were the nucleus, and we always had a great time together. We're like brothers, and we're still doing it.
So it's the classic 3-piece lineup.
Well, we got together, '92. I mean, we've been together now. The second run is longer now than the first run. The first run was 13 years I was in, and I guess now 92 to now is
15. Yeah.
What's that? Yep. Yeah. And we have not got to Australia yet. My God. And I'm a rugby fan right now.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday, I guess. Yes, it's what is it? Australia, England, and then of course New Zealand, France. Yeah, on satellite. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Oh,
fantastic. My son plays rugby. I get up 6 in the morning every day to drive him to school to play rugby. Yes. In fact, what did I just see today? Ireland lost to Argentina. Yes. Tough.
Did you maintain a connection?
It's the Wallabies, right?
That's right, the Wallabies.
What's that?
Did you maintain a connection to the band from that period from '77 till they split? Were you a fan of the music they made without you?
They were sort of doing folk R&B kind of stuff. It was all right. I mean, I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't really the kind of thing I was into. I was more into pop music, and of course, pop music, rock. I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm Wild Eyes, The Sweet City Woman, To Carry Me, to. I mean, it's nuts. Totally directionless. Paul McCartney, that's my guy.
Yeah.
All over the place, and that's sort of like what fashioned myself after I liked that particular way of thinking, and I think it's going to come back now.
Yeah.
Here we are back to iTunes and back to the land of singles.
Yeah.
It's the onesie twosie. It's going to be interesting to see where the album's going to go. I can go back to onesie twosie.
Yeah, it goes in cycles, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's gone total circle. Yeah.
Were you tentative at all about getting the band back together in '92? Were you worried that you may not be able to recapture what you once had?
No, actually, no. I'd like to have done it earlier. But I don't know. It just, I guess the time wasn't right. We got asked to be on this TV show in Canada called the Deanie Petty Show. Whatever happened to? What are they doing now? It's one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I got asked to go on with Kim. And that's the first time I'd seen Kim in years, my drummer. And, of course, they surprised us and brought Ronnie King out. And there was the three of us. And, of course, after that interview, which was really a buzz, we had a big jam session after downtown, and a few beers and chit-chat, and then the Calgary Stampede called, and some fairs and festivals called, and then all of a sudden we had a little 4 or 5 gig tour offered to us. We thought, oh, what the heck, sure. So it was pretty rusty for me. I mean, the bass player had still stayed in Calgary, and he was doing the club thing. It was Ronnie King, and he called it, and the availables. Whoever was available. Yeah, you have to interview. Maybe you should be interviewing Ronnie King and Kim Burley. I mean, I'll give you their numbers if you really want to call them. Kim has the photographic memory, and Ronnie is the Wolfman Jack.
Oh, God.
Nut bar. He's quite fun. He's lots of fun to be on the road. Go ahead.
Is it a source of annoyance for you at times that in other parts of the world that the band may be looked on as one-hit wonders and not recognised for all the other work they did?
Well, maybe in the States, I guess, yes, and maybe I guess in Australia. It's really interesting. There's a what's his name, Greg, somebody from the Toronto Star, a music review.
Greg Quill.
Greg Quill. I read his columns for years, and I really liked his stuff. And then one day I got a call from him, and he said that he had played in a band, I guess, in Australia.
Yeah, he was a big star here.
And he was a big fan of us.
Wow.
I thought, really? Holy jeez. As Australia to me is just a sort of a blank. I mean, we never played there. I don't know if we ever got records released there. I met some publishers once years ago at a conference in Midam, in Cannes, France. Yeah. Having dinner. I guess we had dinner at the same restaurant, and this Aussie dude came up, tapped me on the shoulder, and said he was my publisher for Australia. And I said, "Oh, Jenny, we had records out there." And yes, we had been. I guess we had got some play there. So
yeah, you did, and you still do.
Isn't it something? Well, I'd love to come down there and play. How do you work that out? Gosh. What is it, Oldie Moldies or?
Yeah, Sweet Sweetie Woman is pretty much a staple of Golden Oldies radio here.
Yes, we've never ever played there. Yeah, I guess we'd have to probably go over in a rowboat or something. I don't know how we'd get there. What we could get gig wise. Yeah, maybe rugby. I don't know. Yeah, we'd all love to go and play. That's
sure. Yeah. So what are the upcoming plans for the band? You still recording new material?
Yes. Well, Sure Beats Workin'
is
a new album that we did in '97. And it's got some great tracks on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been to our website, sifting through all those sound bites.
I have, yeah. Sounds great.
But everything's going to be downloadable like any minute. All these albums, yeah.
Oh,
this
excellent.
whole thing is changing, eh? Yeah, it's just there's no walls anymore. Everything is just tap that little mouse and away you go. And
it's all there.
No, Sure Beats Workin' we did in '97. Of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff we recorded, which we have not finished yet, which Kim and Ronnie are bugging me to get going. And we will hopefully get some stuff done this fall, because we have to get some new stuff out.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to. But, no, most of our albums are online there, and they could be ordered off our website, and they'll be downloadable, like I said. And give it a click, and MP3s.
That's all there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have more people to connect with a lot more of our fans down there. So I've never They've never been there.
Well, there's still time.
And it fascinates me.
Yeah.
It looks like a beautiful spot on the planet.
Certainly is. As Canada is too, I'm sure. Rich, got to thank you so much for your time.
Okay, well, give our website a mention, stampeders.net.
Stampeders.com, I'll be certainly mentioning that.
If anybody wants to drop us an email or whatever, please do.
We will.
And if you hear of anybody that wants to bring bands like us down there, shoot them my phone number.
We'll do. In fact, I'll try and put together some information to send over to you, some contacts.
Perfect.
So
yes, because for me, it's I'm just not really too sure which way to approach it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
It would be great. Okay, thanks for all the great music, Rich. Yep.
And send me, what did you send me here? Send me more information, and I'll keep you posted on everything, because all I have is, I've got your email address, so you can send me if you want phone numbers or all that kind of stuff, or anything you want me to have.